G'day everyone, Tim Hallcroft from Legalised Cannabis Queensland Party. How are you? I'm running for the seat of Glasshouse in the up-and-coming state election on October the 26th. Now, I've been asked by a few members of the party and also quite a few people within the vaping industry. I just spent 7 years building a lot of the industry in Queensland and also advising Queensland Health and consulting with doctors as well from SKU. I am known around the world for making coils also. So this is why I'm doing this video. I've been asked to do a explanation between the proper vaping devices and the nicotine and the illegal nicotine disposable vapes. But before we get into that, a little bit of history on vaping. In 1927, a man by the name of Joseph Benito sat down and designed the very first design of a cartomizer vape. Nothing really came out of that into the physical sense, but throughout the years from there, quite a few number of people actually put patents forward for atomizing or a vape pen per se. In 1968, there was a man by the name of Hodnleek. Now, he is regarded as a godfather of vaping. He was watching his father die of emphysema and was a very heavy smoker. So he sat down and took one of the designs and he made the very first workable cartomizer, vaping e-liquid cartomizer with a liquid nicotine, okay? Now, he gave it to his father. Once he got all the levels right, he gave it to his father, and his father practically overnight gave up smoking. It was an amazing instant transformation of what had happened. He put the cigarettes down, took up the vape pen, and away he went. He gave up smoking after that as well. So it has a very solid practical use within the area of breaking the addiction of cigarettes and moving away from that through a transitional step down system. Now, I suppose the unseen or the unpredictable side effect of this vaping was that the emphysema of Hodnleek's father actually improved. This was something that they weren't even counting on. And this launched over 40 years of study through the University of Europe, China University, Harvard Medical University, and some of the most prestigious universities in the UK as well. So there's been ongoing studies since 1970 on vaping itself, okay? One massive study that came out in December of 2021 was over a period of 5 years. The University of Europe took people who were suffering COPD, which is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, took them and transitioned them from cigarettes to vaping. And what they recorded over the first 12 months of their journey through this is that the COPD reversed 100%. So that from the first month to the 12th month, the COPD totally disappeared. It reversed. Now, I have emphysema, and I've had emphysema for the last 11 years or so. I was diagnosed with COPD. Within my first 12 months of being diagnosed with COPD and emphysema, the COPD disappeared. Doctors can't or still cannot work out why it just disappeared. The emphysema is still there, but again, they can't understand why they're seeing the damage in my lungs, but yet I'm still passing all the lung tests. I have no mucus. I'm not struggling for air, anything like that. Now, if I was to give up vaping straight away, I would be on a lot more medication than what I am now. What I am on is this. It's a steroid inhaler. I use it maybe once or twice every 2 days. And what that does is relax the pulmonary edema that's in the damaged areas of my lungs and allows me to breathe. It releases the air that's caught in there. Now, I was a firefighter for 12 years and also smoking since the age of 10. So I took a lot of crap into my lungs and it done a lot of damage. Now, let's talk about these vapes. The illegal nicotine disposable vaping systems I get is made by a company called HQD, who is owned by Mr. Bloomberg himself. We all know who Mr. Bloomberg is. He gave the White House $160 million to stamp out vaping in America, while at the same time he bought out Juul, came up with HQD, and released the iGets. Okay, that's through when America was going through the vitamin E acetate THC black market carts that they were getting. The oil was coating their lungs, the acetate was ulcerating their lungs, and the lungs were practically liquefying within 12 hours. Quite a few people died from that. And they tried to blame vaping, okay? These are vaping devices. Vaping is the act of using it and inhaling and exhaling. That's vaping. This is a vaping device. It's the same as a beer bottle that has alcohol in it, but yet nobody blames a beer bottle for all the deaths on the road through alcohol. Okay, so look at that comparison that way. It all depends, and it comes down to what you do and what you put inside this that's going to guarantee the safety of your lungs. And that's where it's important to use the proper ISO 7 lab quality made e-liquids that you can get. Now, what's in these iGets? They come in a percentage range with nicotine such as 2%, 5%, and 7%. We break that down per unit, and you have 20 mg, 50 mg, and 75% mg, or 75 mg. Now, when nicotine salts was released in freebase nicotine, it came out with a massive warning saying, do not exceed 35 micrograms of a vapable e-liquid in your vape. Once you go above 35 micrograms in a vapable e-liquid, you start taking the toxins and the poisons into your body from the nicotine. Now, nicotine is one of the most poisonous substances on earth, and it was used as a very effective poison way back in the Roman days. We've had some very gifted laboratories and scientists that actually worked it out how we can use it comfortably and safely for our own personal use. And it has been extracted from a plant, okay? It's a cousin of the tobacco plant, and it's extracted from there. So the proper nicotine that we use in our e-liquid is a natural plant extract. The nicotine in these things, however, are 9,000 chemicals of a synthetic form nicotine, okay? Now, 42% of those chemicals in this are unknown. Now, I work with a senior doctor at SKU, and also a pathologist was involved. Now, I've asked these guys to come forward just for the record to state what they found, and they will not do this, okay? Even going down to the depths of who was involved in this, trying to get them to come forward, they will not do it. Now, we done a analysis at SKU on this, and it showed that there was 42% of unknown chemicals. The lab wasn't big enough to be able to do a comprehensive analysis of what's in this. So we sent it down to Sydney University to the CSIRO guys down there, who done a very comprehensive analysis. This took about 6-7 months. We got an email back saying they will not release the results to us. Instead, they're sending them to the Australian government and the TGA, the Therapeutic Goods Administration. Now, that was some 5.5 years ago. What we've garnered from our research and from what we've ascertained from what's in this is that it has chemicals in that 42% that do not expel from your lungs properly, okay? So they fall or they hang in the lower parts of the lungs. Now, when you use these iGets for a period of 4 years or more, you run into the higher percentage of 97 to 98% of developing ulcers on your lower lungs. And this is a case from patients that have been admitted into hospitals, not just here at SKU, but around Australia. I don't know about other countries, but there's a fair bit of research going on there and questions being asked. The information of what I just told you, I cannot find it, no one can find it, and I've had some pretty heavy sort of people looking for this in the academic world. So trying to find that information, they've covered it up, they don't want it released. These things are bad, okay? As opposed to this, with the nicotine in it, the natural form extract nicotine, you have 340 chemicals. This has been proven in courts all around the world that have been trying to ban vaping worldwide, okay? This always comes back with an average of 340 chemicals. Now, the MSDS, the Material Safety Data Sheet for all the ingredients in this, is readily available if you request it through, well, what were the vape shops. We were able to get the MSDSs for anyone that required them, okay? It was pretty easy to sort of sequester the information for these. Now, what's in this? You have vegetable glycerin that makes up 70% of the quantity. You then have propylene glycol that makes up 30% of the quantity, and also your ingredients, which are refined further or better than what food grade ingredients are. Okay, so we have a pure form of all the ingredients in here that do not leave any residue in your lungs. And the reason for that is everything in this is water soluble, which means it dissolves in water. Excuse me for a second. Now, the beauty about this e-liquid is the vegetable glycerin is a natural dehumidifying agent, and the propylene glycol attracts particulates to it. That's why it's used in so many mechanical or fluid applications, because it attracts particulates to it. So when you atomize a natural dehumidifying agent, something that attracts particles to it, what do you think that's going to happen inside your lungs? It's going to attract all the tar and crap, and also it's going to take out excess moisture. So therefore it leaves your lungs at a more optimal, healthier environment. Now, that's been proven through so many universities around the world, it's not funny. That's why emphysema patients, they use vaping in Europe as a leading treatment for emphysema. You can look this up through the University of Europe and several hospitals over there. Okay, so the the flavouring that's used in this is the same that's used in food through bakeries and whatnot. It's also water soluble. So when you spill this all on your hands, preferably not with nicotine, because the nicotine that's in this is transdermal, can be absorbed through your skin. With this, if you spill it on your hands, you can wash it under tap water without solvents or without soap, and it will not leave any residue. This is something that you must understand. If you put any oil-based sort of vapor in your lungs, it's going to coat them and do you damage massively. You must make sure it is a water-soluble, dissolving e-liquid. That is the most important part of vaping. That's why it's so successful, because the residue that it does leave in your lungs, it is something like 0.0002%. It's massively, massively minuscule. Okay, and even the stuff that is left in your lungs, it dissolves and it's absorbed into the body. That's why it's so, I don't know, amazing in the lungs, because it is helping me with my emphysema, which is over 30% of my lungs gone. I'm breathing fine, and that's why it's used as a leading form of treatment with emphysema in Europe. So these little devices, how do they get in the country? Quite easily through a very weak border force that we have. They've massively upped it, and now they're just stopping everything, which is good. They should have done it in the first place. But there's a lot of lack of training and education involved in the government and border force on what these are, because they come in many different forms, and if you don't know what you're looking for, you're not going to find them. Now, they come over with 0 mg written on the box, so again, that goes under the Australian laws that were there before they made all the amendments and totally banned vaping in Australia altogether. If you have a social media account such as a WhatsApp, Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, you like or comment or mention vape in any of those posts, the AI bots from China will pick them up, and then you'll get spammed. Mainly through WhatsApp is the most prevalent sort of social media platform that they use to contact you on, if you're a member, if not through Snapchat or Facebook or Instagram. But they'll get you through that, and then they'll say you can buy 5,000 of these for $3. Okay, so that's $5,000, $15,000. You get a few mates who've just given up smoking, throw in. That's a lot of vapes. Now, they pay for your cartridge over. They get it through the importation license, everything done. They do it on their end and send it in. So it's quite easy for these Chinese companies to import these. Now, what that's caused is Middle Eastern gangs and also the bikie groups to get involved, because now that Butler has said that the police will not enforce the vaping ban, it is now a blossomed massive black market. And I predicted that the black market was going to make the 1920s prohibition era in America look like a kindergarten playground picnic. And that's exactly what's happened. So where does that leave us? It leaves us now with a lot of people in the millions now that are using these, that are going to have a lung epidemic in the next 8 to 10 years. I can guarantee that's going to happen. As for the proper vaping systems that actually help and are proven widely throughout the world as 95% healthier than cigarettes, you have to go to a pharmacy. A pharmacy only dispenses. So if you have a problem with your device, they won't touch it, they won't do anything. Okay, the devices that are there are from Big Tobacco. Big Tobacco's only got 5 to 6 years of research and development on these, as opposed to this, where you have 15 to 20 years research and development. Vaping is not from Big Tobacco, okay? There is massive companies over in China that has dedicated their entire last 30 years to creating these. They have nothing to do with tobacco, okay? It's only now in the last few years that tobacco companies are seeing a massive decline in their cigarette products. Everyone's going to vaping, that they're now getting in the game. And that's led to massive corruption, I believe, throughout the Australian government, okay? Big Tobacco pay big money to the government so that they can sell their product here every year, okay? Big Pharma pay big money, and also big industry. So you've got all the major political parties take donations from these corporations. Legalized cannabis does not take any donations from any big corporate or any big industry. We take donations from you, the people. So if we do get into Parliament, you know that we will not be governed by any big corporation telling us what to do, which then allows us to have an open field for, you know, taking a fight and finding out all this crap that's just gone on with so many things. It's a joke down there, and we're here to try and change it. So the vaping e-liquid, you must make sure it's ISO 7, okay, from an ISO 7 clean room, and that is water soluble. Now you can't get it in Australia, only if you go through a chemist. But you can walk down to your Quickie Mart or your 7-Eleven or your newsagents and pick these up for about $20, $30. You know, what would you take? Would you take a cigarette that has 7,000 chemicals, one of these that has 9,000 chemicals of a synthetic form nicotine, or a vape that has only 340 chemicals of a natural plant extract nicotine? I'll leave that decision up to you, but it's coming up to state Parliament for voting. Be very careful who you vote for. Have a good long think about who is funding those parties, and look for the best party that's going to do it. We have many issues. We have one policy. We're here for the people. We're not for anyone else, okay? We don't care about big corporate. We don't care about big pharma. We're here for the people. So have a long, hard think about who you're going to vote for. It is imperative that you do. And for what's just happened in the vaping industry, over 600 shops just shut down, multi-million-dollar industry shut down, only to allow something that's going to do massive damage down the road to so many people. Okay, this is Tim from Legalised Cannabis Queensland Party. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you later.